Welcome back to our State of Data Integrity and AI Readiness series, where we're exploring the key findings from this year's research conducted in partnership with Drexel University's Lobo College of Business. And what we're doing is we're putting those insights into context for what they mean inside the enterprise. If you've had the opportunity to join us in our previous conversations, we discussed the tension between perceived AI readiness within the business and the operational reality of getting those things stood up, and explored how governance maturity is becoming a key differentiator for organizations that are really seeking to scale trusted AI within their business. But today, we're going to be turning to another theme that really showed up clearly within the research, and that's the growing impact of data quality debt. And for today's conversation, I'm joined by Julie Skeen, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Precisely. Julie, thanks for joining me.
Yep, thanks for having me.
For years, organizations have known that data quality matters. I'm telling you things that aren't a mystery. But the stakes have really changed, right? And AI systems are amplifying the consequences of bad data in ways that traditional analytics never really did. And what we saw in the research is that many leaders are recognizing this shift, and that data quality now ranks as the top priority for improving data integrity across most organizations. But what is interesting is that this isn't a new problem. In many ways, AI is simply exposing years and perhaps decades of accumulated data quality issues. So I'm really keen to understand, Julie, when you look at the report's findings, what stands out to you about how AI is changing the urgency around data quality?
Yeah, thanks, Antonio. What stands out to me is, AI isn't creating the data quality problem, of course, right? It's exposing it.
Right.
Many organizations have accumulated years of data quality debt. So they've got all these issues, right? Incomplete, inconsistent, invalid data, and those issues have been tolerated, right, in analytics environments. You just kind of went with it, right? But now AI is changing that dynamic. So you have models and they're trained on flawed data. They're going to just keep reproducing those flaws in their outputs. So now that means poor data quality directly undermining the AI outcomes. And obviously these organizations are putting a lot of money in that to get those AI outcomes. So as a result, we're seeing in this report, right? They're recognizing that improving data quality is no longer optional. It's now foundational to making AI work. And as you can see, right, by these statistics, 51% of data leaders cite data quality as the top data integrity priority, and 43% say data readiness is the biggest barrier to aligning AI with their business goals. So organizations are realizing that before AI can scale, the underlying data actually has to be trusted.
So, and you started to call this out a little bit. Maybe we could double click on that. Like, what's really the difference about how AI systems are reacting to poor quality data compared to some of those traditional analytics or operational use cases?
Really, the biggest difference is scale and automation, right? So traditional analytics can surface issues through like the reports or dashboards that people are interpreting. But with AI systems, especially these autonomous and agentic systems, they can take action based on the data they're trained on. If that underlying data is inaccurate or inconsistent, those errors quickly propagate across automated decisions, predictions, and workflows. So that's why organizations are prioritizing this like stronger data governance and quality controls as part of their AI readiness strategy.
I think that's the big thing, right? Is the fact that if it's poor quality information, the autonomous agents are going to take that information and they're not going to pass any judgment. Right. They're just going to use it as is, and I think that's the big difference. So what's interesting is that while these organizations are clearly recognizing the importance of data quality, the report also suggested that many are still in the early stages of actually addressing that challenge. So in fact, within the report, when you look at the progress organizations are making towards improving the quality of data used for AI training and inference, the picture is kind of mixed. Some organizations are actively executing improvement initiatives, but many others are still evaluating solutions or building the business case to do so, which I think suggests that while the urgency is clear, the path forward for many of these businesses isn't always straightforward or clear for them. So when you look at where organizations are in their data quality journeys, like what do you think is making this challenge so difficult to tackle for them?
Well, there's a lot of things, right? But
Okay.
improving data quality is difficult, right? Because the issues aren't confined to just one data set or one system. It's spread across their entire enterprise
Hmm.
data environments. And most organizations are dealing with years of accumulated data across legacy systems, cloud platforms, and all different business units, each with their own standards and ownership.
Mm.
So the challenge is then operational, not just technical. Improving the data quality requires coordinating across governance, integration, business process, and not just deploying a tool. So another major hurdle is visibility. Many organizations struggle to measure data quality effectively, which makes it difficult to prioritize where they improve or demonstrate progress. So there's a combination there of fragmented data, organizational complexity, and limited measurement in being able to improve data quality across the enterprise.
Is there sort of a difference in like trying to do this at scale? Is that one of the things that's making this so complex?
Yeah, yeah. Organizations are dealing with massive volumes of data across hundreds or even thousands of systems, often with these inconsistent standards. There's legacy infrastructure and fragmented
Yeah.
ownership across the business units. So at that scale, fixing data quality isn't just about just fixing individual data sets. It becomes this enterprise coordination problem, and data moves across pipelines, platforms, and teams. So issues get introduced in one place can quickly propagate across many systems.
And within the report, we saw that a lot of these challenges also fall back on the types of people that you have as well. It's also like a people challenge, like whether or not you have the skills of individuals, or if you have the all of the resources that are necessary to actually make these initiatives possible. So like that's another, we talk
Yeah,
about the
for
kind of the
sure.
people, process, and technology components all the time, but that's another component of this. We talk a lot about the technical challenge or the scale challenge, but there's obviously also
Yeah,
a major skill
absolutely.
challenge within it, especially as more people are being asked to take part in the data quality process. There's a data quality literacy kind of challenge, and many folks are more than likely going to be asked to upskill here in the near future to help bolster kind of the data integrity and data strategy programs that organizations are implementing. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
sorry, did you have one more thing on
No,
that?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's
All
it.
right. So, another interesting sort of insight from the report is that many organizations are moving forward with AI initiatives, even while foundational data quality issues remain
Yeah.
unresolved. This is something that is both understandable. It's also terrifying in
Yeah,
many in many
exactly.
in many ways. And the
Yeah.
pressure to innovate, I think, is a big part of that, right? There's so many, whether it's boards and stakeholders and leadership within organizations are placing a lot of pressure, and that pressure can be quite intense. And many organizations don't feel like they can really afford to wait until all the data issues are resolved. I've had the opportunity of being at some recent conferences, and that's one thing that was made clear. It's sort of, I feel like I need to move forward, but as AI changes the dynamics of data quality, we really see, unlike traditional analytics where these issues might show up in reports or dashboards, the AI systems, as you had mentioned before, are propagating those issues much more quickly, sometimes even automating decisions based on that flawed input. I think we definitely spent some time talking about that. But when organizations push forward with AI despite unresolved data quality challenges, what risks do they need to be thinking about? What needs to be top of mind for them as they push forward?
Well, as you alluded to, there's a lot of things to be concerned
Yeah.
about, right? But one of the biggest risks is that these AI systems are going to scale the data problems faster than the organizations can detect or correct them, right? So we've got these models and they're trained on this incomplete, outdated, or inconsistent data. Now those issues actually become embedded in the
Mhm.
outputs. and it's really hard to then get it out later, right? So now the systems become more and more integrated into the business operations. And then, as you mentioned, that can start affecting decisions, and those decisions can impact customer engagement, risk management, operational processes. And so that really can extend quickly.
So what I guess what needs to change operationally for organizations to be able to manage data quality effectively in an AI-driven environment?
Yeah, so basically what really needs to happen is these leaders need to recognize the challenge and see that, even though that data readiness is cited as one of the biggest barriers, they need to align their AI initiatives and help improve this. And we've seen, like in this report, many leaders are already recognizing this challenge, and they need to really align these AI initiatives with their business goals.
Yeah.
Because without these foundations, organizational risk can just get accelerated.
And if you are interested in hearing us talk a little bit more about that, we touched on that last point that Julie just made a couple times in the last 2 sessions in this series. So I would urge everybody that didn't have a chance to check those out to go in and take a look at those sessions as well. So when you step back and you look at the findings across this part of the research, one theme becomes really clear, and that's the data quality debt is no longer a background issue. It's really becoming one of the primary critical factors in whether an organization can really scale their AI successfully. And for many companies, the challenges we're seeing today aren't new. They're the result of years of deferred investment in data quality practices, infrastructure, and the governance to pair with their data quality strategy. And what's different now is that AI and now agentic AI are making those issues just impossible to ignore for these businesses. Models that are trained on inaccurate or incomplete, inconsistent, or outdated data are inevitably going to produce unreliable outcomes. And as AI becomes more embedded into business processes, the consequences of these outcomes are going to grow much more significant. And unfortunately, we're probably going to see the results of those things in the news in coming years. So in other words, like AI isn't just raising the importance of data quality, it's really accelerating the moment when organizations must confront their accumulated data quality debt. And this was just one part of the conversation. I know it just alluded to some of the previous parts of the mini series, but from a broader state of data integrity and AI readiness series, in our final session, if you'd like to join us for that, we're going to be exploring another key theme from the research, and that's really how organizations are using real-world context, and that's through things like location intelligence and data enrichment to be able to improve their decision-making and strengthen their AI outcomes. Because the report really shows that like trusted data isn't just about the accuracy and consistency of the data, it's also about that context. We talk about context so often from a metadata perspective, but there's also, understanding what's happening around customers, assets, and operations in the real world. So if you'd like to stay connected to the final discussion in this series, you can scan the QR code on the screen to sign up. And for all the details behind the research that Julie and I discussed today, you can download the full report at precisely.com/LeBeau report. Thank you all.
Thank you.